Hold on just a second. Well, good evening, everyone. It's Monday, December the 3rd. Hard to believe it's December already. Yes, and we are excited about our call this evening, and welcome to our Monday night Mission Possible team call. Every Monday night when we come together, it is to really center on our mission, which is inspiring healthy living around the world. And we do that by gifting and sharing education every single day. And your presence here this evening says that you are interested, serious, committed to your business and to shine the light for health and hope. And so I thank you guys for taking the time out from whatever you're doing to be here as we discuss something really, really important. And it is about momentum. And actually, this is going to be a banner for us in 2019, establishing and advancing momentum. And I want to share some thoughts that I've learned, and Nancy Jakovac and Beth are going to come in and share a few thoughts as well. But my experience in momentum is that when we first start our business, some of you are brand new and you're just getting started. So you're at that place where you're getting your momentum established. But you think back when you first started, we had some new, like anything, when you start something new, you have some new skills to learn. You have a skill to learn. And I remember when I was in high school, learning to type. That was a long time ago. I don't know if anybody can remember, but that skill of learning to type and how hard it was and laborious was to find the right keys. But pretty soon you begin to practice and practice. Can anybody identify with this? And you got better. Some of us can type faster than others. Others can type faster than we can. Maybe somebody does it 40. Maybe somebody does it 60. Maybe somebody does it 80 words a minute. I don't know. But I know that we all have different skill levels. And we start in a place where we're learning something new. And that's kind of like typing. But the more you practice, the better you get. Would anybody agree with me on those kind of things? So that's really what momentum is. It's about practicing your new skills. And what are some of the skills that we learn when we first come into the business? Well, I had to learn to share my story. Why was I doing this? Then I had to learn, one of the things I had to learn, and this was a big learning curve for me, was doing connection calls. Because I was raised in a home where we didn't have a phone. I didn't have good phone skills. And I was terrified to do phone work. But I learned to do that skill. I practiced and practiced until I became comfortable and confident in it. How about hosting events? That's another skill. Sometimes we're not used to hosting events or doing web walks or doing, heaven forbid, Facebook Live, for heaven's sakes. We're always learning a new skill. Keeps your brain healthy. Let me just say, think on that. Keeps your brain very healthy as you're learning new skills. So when we start, we're learning new skills. For some of us, if we've done this for a while, we've had to continue to learn new skills. And the more you practice those, the better you get. And it develops your momentum. And every time, let's just talk about every time we choose to show up to an event versus every time we choose not to show up to an event. Every time you choose to show up to an event, whether you have somebody with you or not, whether you know this or not, you're adding to your momentum. You're adding to your momentum. And conversely, every time you choose not to show up, not to be on a Monday night call, not to show up to an event, you are taking away from your momentum. Every time you choose to spend some time getting to know someone, asking questions, searching how you can help them, you're adding to your momentum. But every time you don't, you choose to turn away and walk away out of whatever, maybe fear or the unknown, we're taking away from our momentum. And one of the things that I've observed in our business is that many people get some momentum going. You've got some good things going. You've got, new customers being added, people coming on board with you. And that's when you kind of take your foot off the pedal, so to speak. Let me just take off here and let's just kind of maybe manage a little bit or coast a little bit, or let's just let somebody else go out and do it. But when we do that, we lose momentum. And the only way I know to build momentum, after you establish your daily disciplines or your habits is with consistency. There's just no other way. Consistency is vital. And I wrote this down earlier today when I was thinking about consistency. Consistency is absolutely vital to anything that we do if we want to get better at it. If I want to, the more I know, when I first started using the computer, I hadn't typed in a while because you just didn't do it. So I was slow and it was laborious. And so the more I've done it over the years, the faster I've gotten. It's the same thing with our business. The more you do it, the better. The more you share, the more you do your connection calls, the more you share your story, the more you ask questions, the better you get it. Without consistency, your business, and I'm gonna venture so far as our life, will become like a never-ending roller coaster. One month you're up, the next month you're down. One month you're gonna be a millionaire, the next month you're gonna quit. I've seen this. I'm just speaking from personal experience. We want to build a business that's consistently, now there are plateaus, I'm gonna say, and there are times when things do go, even with your best effort, there may be a dip, but just know that's the cycle of life. It's a cycle of business. So we want to build in a consistent manner. And you want to focus on those consistent activities, which builds momentum. I think a lot of times people are looking to build, they want to build their check, they want to build their volume, they want to build their team, but that's not what we want to focus on as much as the consistent activity that's going to draw us to the next level. So I'm going to ask Nancy and then Beth. Well, Beth, let's just go with you first, if you don't mind, just to come on. You're muted. You're going to have to unmute yourself.
Hi. Great to be here tonight. And I love this whole idea of talking about momentum. That was awesome, Sharon. I just always learned so much from you. And I think about my career so far with Juice Plus and the times where the momentum was very strong. And years ago, I heard someone in a training, Carolyn Larson was her name, in St. Louis. And I'll never forget her giving a visual. I love visuals for anything like this. And she gave a visual, and it really appealed to me because I could really get it because I had experienced this. So she gave me the visual, and I want you all to think about this. Think about being in a Southwest big old airplane or any kind of airplane, a great big jet. You've got all these people in there, and you're all ready to go. Your seatbelts are on, and it's time to take off. And you're racing down that runway, and it's just I love taking off in airplanes. I think it's cool. I think it's a great feeling of power. And you're going so fast, and then the pilot does whatever he does, and you lift up a huge airplane. How the heck they do that, I can't figure it out. But a huge airplane lifts off the ground and is soaring. And the momentum is 150%. What happens if all of a sudden he reverses whatever, or he slows it down? That huge jet, what's it going to do? It's going to start falling or gently going down towards the ground again, because as the energy's not there, the thrust is not there, he pulls back for some reason, and it starts going down, 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 down. Now, to get back up again, it takes so much more because he or she's lost the momentum of keeping that jet way up in the air. The same thing happens to us. Because we are excited, we go great guns, we're going for it, we got new people coming on board, and we're excited and we're going. And that's momentum, and it's a great feeling of achievement, accomplishment. You know what, you're so attractive to people that way too, because you are in momentum. You know, people want to do it. What are you doing? And then if we do take the pedal off the metal, we slow down because things are going so well, that's when we lose our momentum. That's to go back to ground, and we have to start all over again. And that's not what you want to do, as Sharon just said, is to keep that going up so you're soaring and you can keep on going and keep that strong momentum going great guns. And one thing else I want to say about this is years ago when I was probably a sales coordinator, my sister-in-law was a realtor. And I was really doing a great job getting customers on a regular basis. I was loving what I was doing, and I was really building. And all of a sudden, I wasn't getting new orders. I was just not getting new orders. And I just happened to mention that to her at coffee one day. And she said, well, that's what sales is all about. And I thought, I'm not in sales. Well, yeah, I guess I am. And she said, it just comes and there's ebbs and there's flows. It's just part of what happens. Just keep doing what you're doing. And Charlene always said, keep doing what you're doing. And I was consistent. I was always consistent. So right along with you're saying, momentum and consistency is just really a key.
Perfect. Thank you. And Beth, along that line with the jet plane, I think about working out. Like if you want to develop your muscles, and if anybody's ever gone to the gym and done weights, after, you begin to look pretty good. You like that firm muscle, you got that thing going on, and then you stop. How hard is it to go back in that gym the next time? Can I get an amen? It is when you stop for any length of period of time. That muscle goes away pretty quick. And it's amazing how fast it atrophies. So our business is a lot like that too, if you have not built a consistent muscle. And another word that we don't like to talk about is the word discipline. But I do remember Larry Thompson, who shared this. He was in Herbalife. I was never in Herbalife. I've only ever done this business, but he was a superstar business builder. And he had a lot to say about momentum. And I remember learning from him and listening to his tapes. And he talked about the discipline muscle. We need a discipline muscle to put into place along with what we're doing, because sometimes we would rather sit in front of the TV, we'd rather take a nap, or we'd rather do something else, we'd rather cop out. That's what he said, is every time we do that, when we know that we should be focusing, we've made a commitment to do this, and we want to do this, it's not this, we're doing it for somebody else, you're doing it for your family, then you're taking away from your momentum, and it gets harder to get back up. So we're going to talk more about this as 2019 goes on. We want to introduce the subject to you tonight to begin thinking about momentum and advancing it, establishing it first of all. If you don't have a momentum, or even if you've lost your momentum, link arms with someone and let's get that momentum started again. Let's reestablish it. And the beginning of a year is a super time. We're coming down to the close of the year. When you review, you see how your year went. Did it go like you wanted it to go? Do we need to make some adjustments? What do we need to do to make 2019 more in line with what your goal and your vision is? So I'm going to ask Nancy to come on, because we all have things in our life that come up. And I asked my husband the other day, I was thinking about distractions, because I've heard Jeff Roberti say this: all distractions are equal. And I got to thinking, are all distractions really equal? And we had this really in-depth conversation about distractions. And he said, whether it's a little distraction or a big distraction, if it keeps you from doing what you've said you're going to do, it is the same. It is equal. And we do have priorities in our business. And I'm just going to use my experience when my mother, for 3 or 4 years that my dad and I shared care with her when she had Alzheimer's. And that was several years ago before she passed away. But my business was still important to me, and I found ways to do it around that care, because I still wanted to show up. I still needed to be involved. It was important to me, and I don't think I would have been the person that I needed to be in other areas of my life if I hadn't made that decision. It was a priority in my business, even though I had emotional drain and physical drain at that time. And most anybody's ever gone through that can relate. So Nancy, I'm going to caveat to you, because I know you went through something similar when you had at least goals. So thanks, Nancy.
Exactly. Yes. What I'm going to talk about is, you can have the best of intentions, and then life has other ideas for you. And, you have responsibilities that have to take priority. It was 2001 when that happened to us, Sharon. My dad suffered a stroke. Ron and I were the ones where responsibility fell. My sister had small children. She wasn't able to step in. My stepmom was already suffering from Alzheimer's, so she wasn't the one. So, it fell to us. And I don't know if any of you have had a family member suffer a severe stroke. We had almost a full month of rehab where I had to be at the hospital with Dad to learn, with his therapist, to learn what it was going to take. And so, yeah, like you, Sharon, we were already embedded in this business at the time, but I knew I had responsibilities. I had at least things that I needed to do every day. And so that's what I want to encourage you when life happens, and it will to each and every one of us if it hasn't already. Just make sure that you touch your business in some way, shape, or form on a regular basis. I would say the number one at least goal is check Voxer every day. Check Voxer every day. Some incredible messages come across. And if you're feeling down, you're going to hear something really positive on Voxer that's going to feed you and give you what you need. Check our Facebook groups on a regular basis. Just a treasure trove of information. And even if you feel like venting on one of the Facebook groups, just say, I haven't been able to do what I needed to do. We'll all jump in and boost you up and give you what you need. And certainly these Monday night calls, plug into those on a regular basis. In line with what you were saying about Larry Thompson, we weren't Herbalife either. This business is the only one we've ever done. But a bunch of us did go to, was it Dallas, Sharon?
It was Dallas, yes.
Larry Thompson. It was an amazing weekend. But in line with what he said about not doing the things that you should do, Jim Rohn said it another way. And of course, he was just the master of putting an amazing thought into a few words. He said, should, could, don't. That's a formula for disaster. If there are things you should do, things you could do, and then you don't do those things, you're just setting yourself up for disaster. So maybe make that a little notation that you're going to put on a sticky note on your desk or something. Should, could, don't, formula for disaster. Think about this. We've heard that it takes 21 days to form a habit. If you will do something consistently for 21 days, it will become part of your DNA. But like Sharon said, the workouts, I don't think it takes 21 days to ruin a good habit. I think you can ruin a good habit in a lot less than 21 days. It takes 21 days to form it. But I think
that's true.
You can destroy it in about a week of inactivity. So, whatever is going on in your life at any particular time, make sure that you have some at least goals. And I know Sharon's going to touch on this, but never, never, never isolate yourself from the group. Isolation, we said this on our NMD call today, isolation is fatal. You just need to, and when you're in a state of need, you need the group more than ever. So those are my suggestions for maintaining momentum during downtimes. And we all hit them.
And we do, and those are the facts of life. And I think we need to say that these are the facts of life. We all have things that are downtimes, but are we going to allow them to let us stay there? And thank you, Nancy, for reminding us that isolation is fatal. I've heard it say it's the greatest enemy of our business, but I would go that it's fatal, because you begin to believe all the yucky stuff in your head that you cannot and things aren't going to work when we see that it is. So I just would encourage us as we begin to have this conversation, and we're going to talk about this more. We're not done talking about momentum. That is our banner that we're going to be thinking on for 2019, establishing and advancing momentum. Every time we add customers, we're adding to our momentum. Every time we get on a call, we're adding to our momentum. Every time we do something proactive, we're adding to our momentum. And I would suggest that that's where the magic happens in our business. Then after a while, you see these people on stage, NMDs sharing their story, and you go like, I want to be there. I want to be up there sharing that story. That's going to be me. But it didn't happen without them, first of all, deciding to discipline their disappointments, certainly discipline their skills and their habits, and then being consistent every single day with what you want to do. So when we do the right thing, the right activity, what I call the right thing is the high paying activity. And I've mentioned this before, it's sharing your story. And that's one of the things we're going to focus on too in 2019 is getting really good at your business story. What was the pain that brought you into this business, or what was the cause or reason that brought you into this business? And then getting good at connection calls. And guys, it's just fascinating to me that anybody that we've talked to that built a strong business, they cite the three-way connection calls is the key thing that they did on a consistent basis that connected new people to their support team and built their stories. And so until we decide to do that and get good at that, we can just say, you know, we won't have the momentum. That is a key thing. And then hosting events, attending and hosting and attending events, live events. Online is good, live is better. And I can testify over the years, my best people have come from live events. When I say best, the people who wanted to do it, we made the relationship, we made a connection. Here in Nashville, we've already set up for the first 5 or 6 months of 2019 for the Rankin team, what we're going to be doing on events and what they're going to look like. And we're all agreed, and we're going to come together, and we're going to see some great momentum happen. So that's the right thing. And then the next thing I just want to mention to you too, before we close off here tonight, is doing it with the right attitude and mindset. If you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, with a K, that's Southern with a K, you won't. But I'm serious about this. If you think you can and you believe you can, you will. But it is about the mind. I've been reading, and I'll give you a great book, and I'm going to switch on or turn on, I think it's Switch On Your Brain by Dr. Caroline Leaf. It's a small book. It's not very big, but it is one powerful book about what we do to our brains, literally what we do to the magic trees of our brains when we think negative thoughts about ourselves and about the things that we're doing, versus choosing to take those thought captives and think on what is good and right about your business and yourself. So doing the right thing with the right mindset and the right attitude on a consistent basis creates magic. And so stay tuned. I just want to thank you guys for being on the call tonight. Think about this now. I want you all to be thinking as we close down 2018. Think about momentum, how you can advance your momentum. If you've already got great momentum going, A+, that's super. But if you're stalled a little bit and you want to advance it, you want to establish it and get it like a roaring rocket ship, then we got to get serious on a few of these it's just 3, 4, 5 basics. It's not that hard. It's the basics done every single day creates the magic. Okay, you guys are the best. I would unmute you, but I don't know if we could take the reverb. So have a great week. Next week is our Wins and Wows call. Wins and Wows next week. We've got some super guests coming on in 2019 to be with us for special speakers. You guys asked. I mean, really some really fun things coming. So you definitely want to be stay tuned. Next week is Wins and Wows, and then December the 17th, we will have a phenomenal call. I'm so excited about our call. Beth is going to be hosting it on the gift of this business, what this business has gifted. And if anybody wants to share what this business has gifted you, please reach out to Beth via Voxer and let her know, whether it's health or business or friends or community, freedom, whatever it is. This business has gifted us many, many things. And so we want to take it, we want to encourage one another and encourage ourselves as we share. So have a super week, everybody. We love you guys. Good night. Trying to get there.